Power Living with Kimberly Langford, where inspiration meets empowerment. Kimberly is a nurse executive, leadership coach, Reiki master, and your guide on this journey to whole person wellness.
Hey. Oh my gosh, I am super excited. By the way, love your background, Bill. So,
Oh, thank you. Yeah, one of my clients chose it one day. so, so I just
well,
left it there.
it's gorgeous. Well, I'm super excited to have you here. So I met Bill Dovell. Is that right? I'm pronouncing your name right? Dovell?
Dovel.
Bill Dovell. So I met him at a Gathering of Lightworkers event, and he's a nurse as well. So naturally, I'm a fan. And I'm super excited to share him today. Bill is not only a psych nurse, but he's also the founder of Pro EFT Center here in Boise, Idaho. And he's a certified master practitioner of EFT. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. A lot of people, I think, know EFT is tapping. Some people,
Hmm.
some people know what that is. Some people think it's do 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 do, right? So
Yes.
um, and I know in our family, we've used tapping. And so I know, Bill, you have worked in psych nursing, you've run hospital programs, and now your real prowess that you bring to the table is really a trauma aware, results driven coaching style that really helps people tap into this uh, very affordable therapy to help
Hmm.
manage a variety of different things. So, thank you for joining us today as we talk a lot about EFT, what that is, and talk a little bit about the biology of stress and anxiety and performance, right? So, there's so many benefits
Yes.
around EFT. So, maybe you can kick us off and just share a little bit about your background and what drew you to EFT. Tell us a little bit about what EFT is and just the high level features and benefits. Why do people want to know more about what EFT is?
Well, I ended up in California for 15 years. I was a musician married to a nurse, and rich and famous, trying to be. That whole thing led to no income. And so I ended up becoming a nurse. I knew, almost became a therapist, but we're at 30 and taking on 50,000 more dollars of debt didn't seem like a good plan. And so I could go to community college and luckily landed at the highest pass rate community college for the NCLEX in the whole state of California. Although it was grueling, and I always knew I was going to go into psychiatry, and they coincidentally had two clinical nurse specialists teaching the psych rotation, and so that was wonderful. And very quickly, I was running partial hospitalization programs, and that means it's medical model, so I'm the boss. The therapist or psychologist doesn't always appreciate that the RN's a boss, but nonetheless, that's the way it runs. And and so I was just voraciously taking continuing education. And David Burns, 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 out of Stanford, was given a little talk, and it was called the farther. No, that was the other guy. But anyway, that and it was Epictetus, right? And Epictetus is a Greek philosopher who said it's not the event that causes the problems; it's your thoughts about the event. And
Mm.
and uh, and David Burns is one of the giants in cognitive behavioral therapy. So anyway, so I'm going to attend this little thing at Stanford, way up in a little meeting room. There's like 7 or 8 of us in the room, and he is showing from functional MRIs that the thought starts in the outside of the brain, and then it goes milliseconds later into the emotional brain, and then it goes to the lizard brain and causes the reactions. And many of the
throughout
psychologists were
throughout the
like,
whole system, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. And then there's the feedback, vagus nerve, which goes from bottom to top. We were all taught it goes from top to bottom, but it's like for every one neuron going from your head down to your body, there's 9 of them coming up from the body.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in the middle of all this, he says, I want to show you how to get rid of panic disorder. And so we're all the confidentiality and all that. And so this famous author, female, who has terrible panic disorder, which means she goes through an experience of the panic of dying, 20 times a year. And after a few years, that gets old and really has some problems. So he's working with her, and he puts her in a panic attack. And during the panic attack, he has her challenge the beliefs she's going to die using the cognitive technique that works for her. And the joke was, as we were all being taught this, is that you need to do this 3 times. And he says it with a sly little smile, because someone with panic disorder, when I was working with them, I could have them in a panic attack in 20 seconds, easy. And they would, of course, yes. Well, they would want to, you have to have therapeutic alliance with them. They have to trust you.
Right.
You have to figure out what their system is and, what works for them. And then I'd take them off to the side and put them in a panic attack. We're going to challenge the beliefs you're going to die. Panic works by making you believe you're going to die. People in a panic attack don't even stub their toes. They're not getting up and moving.
Right.
It's extremely protective. Nobody during a panic attack has had a heart attack or a stroke. It's very, very protective. It's one of the safest places to be, but it is terrifying and it ruins your life. And the problem is they have uncued panic attacks. In other words, they're not in a car rolling sideways down the mountain. They're in the grocery store.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we put them in
debilitated.
It's totally debilitating. They've already been to the ER, and the ER docs are rolling their eyes. Not you again. I told you it's panic, not a heart attack. Okay. But in the crux of the panic attack, you can only believe that you are dying. And it makes you believe that. But if you believe you're dying, the body goes, oh my God, we better have a panic attack. Okay, so that circle is happening. Panic causes the dying belief, then the dying belief causes the panic. So we work through that while they're in the panic attack, using the very effective cognitive behavioral techniques already. And you can't induce a second panic attack, not ever.
Really?
And one session's done. However, I was running in the second program I ran in the Bay Area. I kept getting jobs closer to home, which is very important in the Bay Area. Getting more important around here as well. And we had an aftercare program, so people, they can come in for free 1 day a week, and sometimes they'll come in years later, all of that. And what I really noticed is the panic people I had done this with never had another panic attack, but their anxiety, their depression, their OCD, relationship circle of hell, etc., all of that kept coming back. So being an inquisitive guy, I started asking David Burns and Lee Pearsons and all these giants in cognitive behavioral therapy, why? How come? Yeah. And these people are very broad-minded within the field of clinical psychiatry and psychology. And they'd say because anxiety is harder to treat than panic. And it's because in their life experience, it is. They get rid of the panic just like I was doing with folks. And then their anxiety keeps coming up. And it took me just a little while before I went, no, it doesn't. It's not because you've seen Pearson in a panic attack. They're totally freaked out. And so I got the idea that the person was totally 100% in their body in the panic attack. With anxiety, they were committed to the anxiety, but maybe it's only less in the body. So I spent 15 years looking for something that worked. I looked at hypnotism, EMDR, all sorts of things that would do it for everything. So if you can do it for panic, you should be able to do it for everything else. And then I even became a yoga teacher. Downward dog, fill out your mood log. I never did figure out how to make those things work. Okay, but I was trying, and I accidentally stumbled onto EFT. And so I trained in it for about 3 months. And by that time I was working inpatient in Boise. And in 3 months I had this is what I've been looking for. It changes everything. So every thought, emotion, reaction, body sensation, it can be changed. And so, it took a while because behavioral biology, or if you're a nerd, psychoneuroimmunology, all of that kind of stuff, teaches you to think in all the different boxes.
Yeah.
Psychology, anatomy, you know, and evolutionary biology, et cetera, all of them. And and I started using it with inpatients, and it worked better than anything that anybody had ever seen. Of course, I got the normal flack because I'm doing something weird, but anyway,
Not on our policies and procedures, young man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it required a little overtime because you know how they staff us so well. But anyway, uh, I went, this is it. And so basically, tapping teaches in all the basic forms, and I'm trained in 3 of them, that we're tapping on the very tips of the meridians. And when you tap on the tip of a meridian, it unkinks the meridian, and all evil is caused by kinks in your meridians. Okay, now
So can we pause there for a minute, just for people who don't
yes,
know what meridians are? So you're tapping into um, and it's interesting because we can map out I don't know if you've probably seen the CT scans after like an energy treatment where we can see the
yes,
meridians. Yeah. It's like a
yeah,
channel it's like a river. It looks like an artery or vein, but there's nothing there. It's energy,
yes.
right?
And there's several theories all the way to extremely tiny channels that move a single photon. All the way through the electrical energy. But if you go to an acupuncturist, you notice their little dolls they have and all those dots.
All the
Well,
markings.
yeah, and it turns out if you keep accurate records for 5,000 years, you'll learn a few things, which the acupuncturists have, and acupuncture actually was semi-helpful for a lot of the PTSD soldiers I took care of. That was the
Yeah.
one thing that seemed to start to make a difference. But the way I teach it for people, because that's not a bad way of understanding it. This is if you can think the doll faces over me, well, and gallbladder meridian ends here, and
Yeah.
bladder ends here. I got to a better understanding of it, and this is the way I explain tapping. Could have had a V8. I've got a headache. Home Alone poster. I'm thinking if you go to France and see the guy doing this, you know why they had to rename it the Thinker, because everybody says he's thinking. I'm shocked. Every actress on the planet knows these spots. And if you want to convey to the audience when you're on stage that you're shocked, you touch here. Often they can even just point it here. Yeah. And everyone in the audience will have a little bit of the sensation of what they feel like when they're shocked. So why do we touch here? It's because it's already innate. We are
Yeah.
built with all these points. Actually, the exact points are a little closer to the nervous system. They're kind of little holes, but these points that we tap on are the same points everybody rubs, or even like monkeys, ooh, 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 and you can hold them. It takes about 27 seconds. And if you tap this long, that's how long it takes tapping. Otherwise, I'd have my clients holding. So it's way faster to tap and way more intense.
So tapping, you are tapping into your body's pathway of energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which it's interesting that you mentioned, as thought flows and comes back up, these channels of energy also run in a very similar pattern. So
They
you
do.
can,
Yeah.
so you can tap into that energy source to actually change your biology and whatnot, your
And,
psycho-emotional state.
And here's why. And the why in classical EFT, gold standard, Pro EFT, clinical, et cetera, their idea is the kink in the energy channel was the problem. And it's true. If you're upset, you'll be uptight here. Well, this kidney and the stomach right here, those energy channels are going to be kinked. Why? Because your muscles are going, okay.
Yeah.
But that's not why I do it. It works really well in the moment because we write down all the stuff that's bothering you, and then I have you repeat back as I'm reading what you've said while we're doing the points. And at the end, you go, "I feel a lot better," which is totally shocking every time in the beginning.
Yeah.
But what we're doing, it's not just in the moment. Now, there's when you heal something in a tapping session, it's different. In other words, in the 20-minute miracle version, which happens, we've all done it, comes in and she has a terrible problem with public speaking. And so we tap it down. It's kind of funny because we have to talk about all the things she's tried, from psychologists to meds to join Toastmasters, et cetera, the whole list.
Yep.
And then she goes and gives her little talk, and she's kind of hesitating. I showed up for that. It was in a networking thing. And she said, Bill knows what I'm going to talk about. And I got a smile and says, I'm terrified of public speaking. Everybody says, "Oh, you always look so great. You look so calm." Says, "Cut out that crap. I'm terrified of it." Okay. and you notice when I was giving my talk that I had to kind of refocus and think about things. And they all said yes. It says, here's the problem is when I go to talk, I usually have these problems. My chest didn't feel tight. My hands weren't sweating. My brain didn't go blank. I couldn't feel my heart beating. He says, totally threw me off. Okay.
I was waiting for all the panic to come, and it wouldn't come. Bill screwed me up.
Well, and because she had tried everything you could imagine, and she had felt better during the session, she also revealed, she says, I tap with Bill, and that's what happened. And on the way out, like walking down the hallway, she said, I said out loud, she wasn't being mean. So there was another thing that didn't work. And because she would feel good at the psychologist's office or the speech coach or wherever,
Yep.
and she would go, and as soon as she saw the podium, everything starts happening again. So in the 20-minute miracle version, which you get advertised all over, it's changing your internal programming. And that's why it's so good. It's not just calming you down in the moment. And I will tell you now, getting into behavioral biology and all that, the reason that your unconscious mind allows you to imprint is because your emotions have to be elevated enough. Right now, it's keeping track of the ejection fraction on your descending aorta, the amount of vasodilation, vasoconstriction, all the way down to your left little toe. And if you assign our puny little conscious mind to keep track of all that, you couldn't even walk. It would take everything you had. And so the unconscious mind, it's also called the preconscious, subconscious, and lately fast mind. It goes, you're not coming in here and changing stuff, anything. Who knows what you could mess up? So it won't let you change.
We're doing just fine.
And so essentially what happens is you have to elevate this calming effect to a very high intensity. And each one of these things are calming, reassuring, the loved, safe, okay conditions. And you have to elevate them to enough intensity to turn on the record button, if you will.
And so then you can kind of sneak around the subconscious. Is that what you're saying? Kind of a way to...
no. When the person comes in to talk to me, I do a very thorough intake every single session. I ask the same, and I already call them this. I ask the same stupid questions every time. So what's your situation? What brings you in? And then I go, well, how is that affecting you? And what's your goal? If you can't think of a goal, life goes on. We solve that. But, and then with a sense of compassion, I explain to them, so why don't you just do that? Why don't you just do your goal? Well, I've tried everything. Will be a good example. And that's the thought, the outside of the brain. I feel frustrated by that. So this is just going through your neurobiology. The thoughts program send messages to the emotional brain. The emotional brain is not connected to your eyes, your ears, your pressure sensors, your skin.
Mm.
It's not connected to any of those. It is directly connected to your thinking brain. And also a bit of it's connected to your nose, but that's a whole nother lecture. Okay. Yeah.
Ooh. Hey, we got. I'm already thinking about session 2 with you, Bill.
Okay, good. And so what we're doing is because the body, this vagus nerve everybody talks about, which actually mostly comes from the body to the brain. That's not how we were taught in nursing and medical school, but they've discovered it in the last 5, 10 years that actually works from here to here. And we're sending in an enormously calming signal because tapping is
Mm.
27 seconds worth of effect and 27 seconds worth of effect and 27 seconds worth of effect. And it's sending this whole body ride response that we're safe, loved, and okay. But it's intense enough that the unconscious mind says, oh, intense emotions, I better record stuff. And
Ah.
because you're calm, it puts you in charge of how you want it to be in there. And so that's my biological explanation to help people understand what we're actually doing. And so, first we're helping you organize your story, and then we're figuring out a word picture of what you're thinking, the emotions you're feeling, the reactions and behaviors that are happening, and the sensations in your body. And then we just go tap on mentioning all this. And I had a client last week who's about her third or fourth session. She's going, I can't believe it. Okay, because we rate that stuff 1 to 10. And how anxious? I'm not feeling anxious. Okay, because it doesn't make any sense because we're not taking you to another place and meditating on something or doing that.
I
We're
didn't have
rubbing it.
Papa
Yeah,
lorazepam.
yeah. We're rubbing it in your face, the thing that makes you anxious. Okay, we're talking all about it, and all that. And what it does is it takes this charge, and we use the word charge, but as you mentioned earlier when we were talking, you can put EEG helmets on, and as the person is reporting that anxiety is a 10, the activity in the brain is like this, and then when it's a 5, it's kind of like this, and they'll come in before sessions when they've studied this. I'm calm today, and there's normal activity. So we actually are taking the biological charge out of this system that's just trying to protect you, but it can't reason, can't evaluate. It doesn't even understand past, present, and future tenses. It's just all boom, okay? And so we go in there, and then you'll find that besides feeling good in the session, it just starts feeling good. Somebody had terrible panic, had moved to Idaho, husband's idea, not her idea. Okay. And she was starting to get very panicked when she would leave. It wasn't quite to the point of agoraphobia, but it was getting there. And
Mm.
so we tapped for a while, and there's all sorts of complications in her case. And then she came in one time and says, I never panic when I leave. I just don't panic. I don't know why, but and then she was worried, we're working on anxiety, tap that down. And well, I'm not really anxious anymore, but I am feeling a little bothered. In other words, we're just going through the different responses that have been recorded into her system and putting her in charge of it. So
Wow.
anyway, that's what I do.
So you really have a chance to, it sounds like a system reboot and
Mhm.
reprogram.
Yeah. And problem is, okay, you have some good coaching, good therapist, and you go, it's really silly to be upset about public speaking. I'm taking a simple one. And it goes in your conscious mind. And the second you see the podium, the fight or flight response turns off your conscious mind. So all the good things you're putting in there are now shut off. The only thing that's left is these triggering events that are in your system. And so
Yeah.
that's why I love it, very much like the panic attacks. I mean, people are, what? You did one session and no more panic? Yes. And when you erase that one cycle, and we're just doing the same thing with everything. Uh, it's any kind of reaction you're having, any response, any thoughts. We get it. And the reason I'm using a keyboard all the time is because we're getting you quoted. And the quotes are exactly in your neural network. Uh,
Mm,
you
the
change one
programming.
word, yeah, you change one
Yeah.
word, it can be different. For example, a medical doctor comes in and sees me from time to time, and on the intake form, what are you working on? Negative thoughts. Okay. Right. And so in one session, negative thoughts, we rated it, and on a 1 to 10 scale, it was a 5. And it had a list of several emotions that were spawning from the negative thought. And then we got into a little more detail. And the next thought was my negative thoughts. That was a 9. Adding
Ah,
one word was, and the emotion response were completely
wow.
different emotions. And so
Huh.
uh, you won't find in the world of EFT anywhere that I know of right now. Lindsay Kenny got closer to that. She could do shorthand. It's really important to quote what the person is saying. And Lindsay
Ah.
Kenny is the person who started Pro EFT, and she's one of the original 3 masters of EFT. That's the people that could do it on stage in front of everyone else with a person, and you have 20 minutes. Here's somebody you don't know, make them better. Okay. So she was very talented. And so, anyway, that's the lineage I come from.
Very. And so, the thought occurred to me, for folks that are dealing with these, whether it's, fears, anxieties, depressive thoughts, self-limiting beliefs. What about for folks who maybe they don't have like anxiety or panic attacks, but they just want to improve their performance? So for instance, a lot of the folks that I'll work with, they'll
Mm-hmm.
set goals and you get really close and then you don't. You never quite hit it. And usually I find that's usually something up here that says usually it's
Yeah.
a deserve level or something like that. Can you use
Mm-hmm.
EFT to optimize your personal or professional performance?
Well, that's one of my best sources of referrals. Okay, they've they've just gone with their life coach, and or even to the really really big names. They just come back from a seminar, spent thousands of dollars, and now this is what I'm supposed to say. And so they read it, and immediately it says, "I can't do that."
Yeah, right. You can't the brain knows you're telling me this affirmation, but it's a lie, right?
Yeah.
I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. Well, no, you're not. I look at my checkbook. I see my
Yes.
account balance. You are not a millionaire. Absolutely. Yeah.
and and if you are able to imprint it, and this is important when you're tapping, anybody can do this, by the way. You just learn a few points. And what I highly suggest is you write down your thoughts, like journaling, and then you read them back, tapping phrase per phrase. And you'll notice everything kind of calms down. When it gets complex, that's where you come in with me, because I help you organize your whole story, really get the biological responses. We go in, and and so that's part of when a person comes in. I'm just tired of. I'll give you one. I have a glass ceiling on my business, and me and my husband are the owners. So it's not the upper management that has a problem.
It's
Okay.
me. Huh. Yeah.
and
The
so
problem
and
usually is me. Yeah.
and so we tapped that away. And the next year, because what was causing that was gone, it was a franchisee, and their franchise grew more than any other franchise in the whole country in 1 year. Uh, she continued to tap because the more employees you get, the more you're going to get people in that sociopathic pattern. And so we're tapping on that, and that reminded her of the boyfriend on another continent, and she is in school, and he was actually a sadomasochist. Okay, so now we're tapping on that, and then that brings in creepy dad, and you know where that's headed. And
Yep.
eventually, what uncovered is she had been abused severely as a child, lots and lots of times. You're
Yeah.
more in hundreds to thousands of times, and she had those sensations every single day for 40 years, and she was able to hide it from everybody. and we
Yeah.
got rid of them. But it took that's part of the tapping. You're getting rid of this layer, and then they call it unpeeling the onion in tapping universally. And then you go to this layer, and then you go to this layer. So some people come into their problem, we fix the problem, and they're gone. Other people start uncovering that underneath there's some real stuff there. And
Yeah.
with me, again, psychiatry nurse, I've seen and heard the worst stories you'll ever imagine, and in much more detail than the average nurse, because I'm the person sitting down with them, running the program, doing groups, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and so when somebody has a very severe problem pops up, it's oh, we're ready to go. Let's do it. As opposed
Yeah.
to and you covered it in your questions. When do you not want to see your EFT person? You don't want to see them if they don't know anything about severe trauma.
Right.
You want to immediately go to someone who's a good trauma specialist, and that would also include therapists. Your marriage and family
Absolutely.
therapist had one
Yeah.
semester of psychopathology
Yeah.
when they're a freshman. They are
Yeah.
not equipped.
And
They
they
are
can
not
do a whole
equipped.
lot of damage and
Mhm.
unknowingly do a whole lot of damage without that level of expertise.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I
Yeah.
just happen to be one of the people because of all the places I've been that's highly versed in it, understands it, still study it. Um, uh, the psychology of mass control, there's a course I'm taking right now, for example.
Ooh, that
Okay.
sounds really good, especially for
Oh,
today.
yeah,
Wow.
I just love it. And I continue to learn those things. So when it does blow up, and you'd never guess who, I'm a practitioner and you'd never guess who, okay, they'll say, well, I wonder if it has something to do when I was 17 and I was kidnapped and locked in a cage. Well, okay, no. So
Yeah.
you
You
have
have
to
to know
know
how to
about,
go there
yeah. Well,
and
what
and
you,
have the skills and the toolbox to go into those dark places with,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, the people feel very, very alone. And because I
Yeah.
have a lot of knowledge about how that works, uh, no, this is a normal reaction. Okay. And they go,
Yeah.
I just want to be normal. I used to be normal. If I
You are
don't think about it, I'm
normal.
not.
You're not
Okay.
broken.
Yeah. No, this
Yeah.
is a normal response to severe trauma. And, and so, because when that happens, and I have EFT practitioners who send people to me because they go, "Ugh, I can't handle this one," and
Yeah.
so I'm the guy that can. But by the way, you don't have to have a major T trauma to come and see me. To answer your question again, it may
Right.
not uncover any of that. It could be that I was always criticized or whatever pops up, and when it pops up, we'll tap on and I never go looking, say, well, let's do a deep drill down into nah, that's painful and traumatic. We just tap on what the problem is. And when you say your goal, your unconscious mind, which most people think may be against us partly, your unconscious mind wants to solve the problem. You just told it what you wanted to do. So it will tell you
Yeah.
what you need to change if you want the problem to be solved,
Oh.
and it just flies out of people's mouths. People
Mm.
come in, I'm not really sure what I want to work on. It's never a problem.
Wow. In the hands of a master, you can do great things. Oh my gosh. So
Well, thank you.
such
That's
such a juicy discussion. And I know you and I were talking earlier too, you know, I really do think, we were talking earlier about, VA is a perfect example. VA now
mhm.
uses Qigong. Qigong is a recommended and authorized treatment for a lot of our vets. EFT, I
Good
think, is
stuff.
in that same vein. I can't imagine a time where that won't be
It,
embraced as a
it,
modality.
it just, in the last couple, 3 years, they now allow it. Uh,
Yeah,
be,
very new.
when I used to be tapping with inpatients, the first response I get from everybody, they let you do that. Well, I just go do it. So
Yeah, yeah. It needs to be
but
done. I do it. Well,
yeah, and I
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No, but like the VA is allowing it. At first, they were extremely resistant to it. That old
Yeah.
Schopenhauer, I'm going to misquote him. I can look it up, but we'll let it go. Is that new ideas are first really resisted, and then they're severely punished, and then later everybody just knows it's true.
Isn't that true? Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and that
well,
was certainly true in the VA.
what about, I'm just wondering, because I know you and I both have an event to get to, but could you walk us through just a short, I don't know, pick your favorite, most common thing that somebody might come. Would you walk us through? I've seen you do this before. Walk us through an example of um, something that somebody could do in 4 or 5 minutes to test that water and want to learn more.
Well, to getting on to the results part, this is important. You have to tap down the bad stuff. If you try to
Okay.
put the good stuff on top of the bad stuff, now you have,
Oh,
even if you programmed it in, two parts of you are now arguing.
is that like makeup on a
It's really
pimple?
good.
It's not going to make the pimple go away. It's just going to look bad.
Yes. It looks bad. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. It'll go away on its own. No, it's horrendous and it's fine. It's fine. And by the way, if someone's having that argument, I'll just tap with them. It's horrendous. No, it isn't. It's horrendous. It is not horrendous. It's horrendous. And then pretty soon we're giggling because of the argument between the two sides of them. And then we explore the validity of each point of view, but not so exaggerated. And that helps bring it down. That's a technique you can use. When I'm doing the session, we've really mapped out what's going on to the person each time. And if all the symptoms are going down or are completely gone, then we'll tap in very specific stuff like, I am feeling happy. I have met my goal. I really am a millionaire. Okay, to use one of your
Programming,
phrases.
yeah.
Now, if there's no resistance, we can just do it. And then what we do is we add things like law of attraction. I love it when, which is that's law of attraction with a booster shot, okay, so to speak. I love it when I love it when I'm happy. I love it when I'm relaxed. I love it when I'm feeling confident. And so we're putting in specific programming at the end. But now we need proof. If you tell the body that's what we're doing and you don't have any evidence, it's so just like when I go to the beach, just like when my wife and I sit down and have dinner, just like when the first time I saw my new daughter, et cetera, whatever they are. And so we give examples of the body being in the place that you're programming it in. And that's what we very specifically tap in. However, that's very good. By the way, if you're halfway there, we walk towards and away because we don't invalidate, I walk away from the thought. I have a fear of public speaking. I walk towards feeling calm. I walk towards, we can do a halfway thing. But let's say at the end of the session, because this is real life, you have something, it used to be a 15 on a 1 to 10 scale, but it's only down to an 8. That's too much intensity to be specific because, as you know, when you really need to feel understood about something and somebody gives you the solution, you feel invalidated, not listened to. That's the classic male-female thing. She's at home and has been one of those days. He comes home and says, "Hi, honey," and she says, "Let me tell you that," and before she can get the second sentence out, he's already given your solution.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't want to do the same thing to ourselves inside. So what we do then is there are biological patterns that I've been able to break down and make them see what they really are. Because when we have traumas, upsetting stuff, and little t traumas too, it could just be that person at work that just sucks the energy out of the room, a little t trauma. That's not like that doesn't mean I've been
not
in
like
a war.
are chasing you with a knife or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if those are still not quite letting go enough, or maybe even a little one went up, then what we do is we tap on generalities of all the stuff that gets wired backwards whenever little t or big T traumas happen, events that are emotional and they're painful and you don't like them, and they program us. We're not in charge of how we get programmed
Right.
there. They are. And so we're tapping all of that out. So if it's bigger, then we can put in a specific response to. So that's the three parts of a session. One, figure out what's going wrong. The other two, tap down the bad stuff. Well, now you want to put in stuff how you want it to be. And that's a classic session. So what we do is we take something like, let's say, I want to avoid that part of me that's anxious. All right. And in the tapping, we've already covered that I want to avoid being anxious. I mean, I hate being anxious. If you're anxious, you know how bad it feels. So we're tapping like that. And I keep telling my body to avoid being anxious. I'm filling in blanks a little bit. And my body goes, I've got the perfect emotion. Here's an emotion that makes you avoid things. And of course, what it is. It's anxiety. And so I am anxious in order to avoid anxiety, and we'll laugh and giggle, and it helps understand that it's time to choose a new emotion. But let's say the anxiety is still at an 8. If we say in the last tapping we get very specific, then that is not going to work. It'll blow up. The person will be harmed by it to feel worse. Yeah, because the part that has you have no under. I mean, I have paralyzing anxiety. You have no idea how hard it is, and that whole part. Whoops, excuse me. I talk like an Italian. Hit my mic.
I can't even go to work. It's so bad. Or
yeah. Well, that part is still up there a little bit, and it's time for that part of the session to be over. Then, in this case, well, the problem is, I hate the part of me that has anxiety. Well, we want to tap in learning how to truly love and accept yourself. And so just do the same points I'm doing. If you, by the way, most of the world taps with one hand and they quit about here. They'll do it that way. It doesn't blot me out. But I'm going to do more points. And the reason is because there are different systems that aren't EFT and within EFT, and people do slightly different points, et cetera, et cetera. And so what I did is when they had years and years ago, the huge tidal waves and all that, well, I did a survey of the unedited photos, which were easier to access in the old days. And I saw where they're holding.
Yeah.
And so all the points we're going to do are these places that everybody goes to, okay, and to comfort. And so if you forget some of them, don't worry. You can go to my website, and there's a video link there somewhere that has me being very specific about them. But if you're in the general neighborhood and tapping, that's perfect. So we're just going to start tapping, and there are other parts like the setup point and all that. You don't even need that to do the simple tapping. So you're going to repeat after me, and then at home you can do the same thing. So we're starting with the eyebrow point. I'm getting better at this every single day.
I'm getting better at this every single day.
I even know when to do what.
I even know when to do what.
Turns out timing is important.
Turns out timing is important.
When I am trying to learn how to love and accept myself.
I'm trying to learn to love and accept myself.
Even though there are parts of me that don't like what other parts are doing.
Even though there are parts of me that don't like what other parts of me are doing.
I really want to love and accept myself.
I really want to learn to love and accept myself.
And so that's what we do. We learn to love and accept myself.
And so that's what we do. We learn to love and accept ourselves.
And I mean all of myself.
And I mean all of myself.
My thoughts.
My thoughts.
And I'm talking to all of you.
And I'm talking to all of you.
All the emotions.
All the emotions.
all the decisions I've made,
all the decisions I've made,
all of my behaviors,
all of my behaviors,
all of my reactions,
all of my reactions,
and all the sensations I feel in my body.
and all the sensations I feel in my body.
I honor the truth of what you say.
I honor the truth of what you say.
I honor the way you say what you say.
I honor the way you say what you say.
I honor the emotions you might be feeling.
I honor the emotions you might be feeling.
I want to understand even better
I want to understand even better
how you think and feel.
how you think and feel.
I am feeling,
I am feeling
and it's your turn. How are you feeling?
fabulous.
Okay. I appreciate you as you are.
I appreciate you as you are.
It's all so easy.
All so easy.
And then you can take a breath. But just that little routine, people can tap with that. And it's reorienting the part of us that learn that, for example, I have to be good enough to be lovable. If I reach a certain goal, then people love me. Okay. And now we're saying, by the way, with lovability, that's the opposite of lovability. I mean, for example, if you win the lottery and you have 1,000 new best friends, you can't
Right?
you
You don't
can't
have
really
1,000 new best friends. Yeah.
yeah, you can't really depend that they all love you. They may
Right.
act pretty loving, and so that may be about acceptability, but not the love part. Love, and even though cognitively we can say this in your heart of hearts and the way you react, it isn't put in there yet. Has anyone ever loved you? If you've ever been loved, then there's nothing you can do about it. You're lovable.
I
If you
got
weren't
it.
if you weren't lovable, that couldn't have happened. And so there are 1,000 things like that that we do in the tapping to help. But that's why love and acceptance is very important. And it's not, I am a superior being, I am a zillionaire, I am, it's just I love and accept myself just as I am.
Yep.
And so that routine, which actually comes from David Burns, who doesn't take credit for it because uh, a resident he was teaching cognitive behavioral therapy decades and decades ago was as Sterling Morey was his name. He was brilliant about how to really have empathy and really be understanding in a way that had the client feel understood. And
Mm.
that last thing was an encapsulation of it's an 8 to 16 hour course. But there's the general concepts in it. And so
Mm.
that's the other part of tapping is that when you can't put specifics in because it'll blow up because it's too invalidating, then
Right.
we do general ideas, like effective grieving, love and acceptance, or like what about when someone or something is hurting me? Or if you're in an abusive relationship, particularly with the sociopath next door, there's recognizing and reacting to the sociopathic pattern. There's a whole bunch of them that I will use in general that
Mm.
helps the person at least to be in general changing the pattern, their internal responses back to where they were at creation, so to speak. In other words,
Mm.
there's no little baby in utero that said, I think I would like to just have my confidence destroyed.
Right. Yes. So you kind of have an opportunity to really purge, so to speak. And it's interesting as I'm listening to you describe this whole process. I'm thinking about there's some real similarities in energetic frameworks, right? We first
Mhm.
have to purge before we can tonify, right? And then you have to do that process first.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're a
Very
wounded
powerful.
soldier, Yeah, if you're a wounded soldier, you need to heal your wound before you go back on the battlefield.
Right.
Same, yeah, and it really is that
And you got to
simple.
clean the wound before you can start the healing process. So,
Uh, that's true because with the psychological stuff, well, we don't want to think of that, and so if it's
yeah.
buried and repressed, and a lot of this stuff, it's just you just tell me your goal, and then I'll say with compassion, and particularly after the first session, people get it from a sense of compassion as a pair compared to all the free advice we get. So why don't you just do that, and it'll pop out, you know,
Mm. Yeah. What's
whatever
holding you
it is.
back?
Yeah,
That's
because
beautiful. Yeah.
your unconscious mind, even the parts that have anxiety or rage or depression or whatever it is, problems, well, we think they're our enemy, and from their standpoint, because they can't evaluate,
Yeah.
it's like they're screaming at you. Weren't you there? Don't you
Yeah.
remember? Okay.
And they're
And
protecting you. I'm protecting you. I'm
yeah,
helping you, doggone it.
when you're tapping, you get to reprogram them to, like, let's say it's anxiety. We just say this much anxiety over my head really is too much. Uh, anxiety. If I hear a rattling sound under a rock while I'm out walking in the foothills, well, I
Oh,
don't
yeah.
bend over and
And look
and
for
look
the
under the
snake.
rock. Yes. Well,
Is there really
that's
a rattlesnake there? I don't know. Let me see. Just give him my
yeah.
toe. Yeah.
That's functional anxiety. And then you're on a really nice walk and away you go, and you calm down again. Dysfunctional anxiety is when you can't leave the house or it's torture
Yeah.
to do things that, like giving presentations or something. It's just torture, but your
Yeah.
job requires it. So, things like that. So we just get rid of what's not functioning right.
Yeah, it's
It,
interesting too. You and I talked about this earlier at one of the events about the rise that we're seeing, um, especially, well, gosh, it seems to me we're on the upward trajectory of anxieties and fears on a
Mhm,
socioeconomic, even not economics, but on a whole societal level since
very much.
COVID. Yeah, it's
And
definitely a noticeable impact.
it is, and like back in the partial hospitalization days, people would come in and they'd say, "I watch the news and I'm all depressed," and don't watch the news.
Yeah, turn it
uh,
off.
because the major media imprints you by creating fear and anxiety, and it's a great way to sell products.
Right?
It's a
Ah,
great way to have no matter which political movement it's a great way to have you get more solidified and
yeah,
I mean we're all brothers and
programmed.
sisters, yeah, and really most of the people are pretty nice people, and it's that imprinted reaction,
Yeah.
and so
But
anybody that wants, go
yeah,
ahead.
most people aren't out to get us, but the programming is that everybody's out to get you.
Yes. Now there are people who have that sociopathic pattern. The ethics we would feel or the empathy, they don't have that pesky stuff. And so, and they really don't. They feel a sense of freedom and boredom. They're
Now,
always terribly
can
bored.
EFT help um with some of those types of pathologies, like a sociopathic, like somebody with deep abuse or
Yeah. Well, I'll give you an
bipolar,
example.
ADHD, whatnot. Not that
So
people with ADHD or bipolar are sociopaths, but I'm just saying.
yeah, well, like there was a guy who, heart of hearts, just a gem, one of the nicest and wonderful people you'll ever meet. But when he gets triggered, out comes his father, and his father was a very angry, not rational person. And all of that stuff. And he, in his heart of hearts, wanted to get rid of those reactions. And so have tapped those way down. And like I don't do marriage therapy. I've long since retired a referee uniform, but I do two spouses that want to reclaim the love that they had,
Mhm.
and they each come independently to get rid of their blocks. Because often this person blocks are aggravating to the other one.
Yep. Yep.
And so you tap this one down, the other one goes, and then you tap that one down, and the other one's going, okay. And
Yeah.
so it can be used for all sorts of things. And a lot of people who are trying to achieve better and better and better come to me as well. And if there's a block, we get rid of the block. If there's not a block, we reinforce in every cell of their body going where it is they want to go.
Mhm. And I love that you said that, because this whole energetic, emotional pathway, it does have a biological, a physiological aspect to that.
Mm-hmm.
Our emotional mental programming does absolutely impact our biology.
Yeah, definitely, and vice versa. It's a and the body. We say, well, this is psychology, this is medicine, this is medical, this is motivational, this is romance. Your body doesn't know the difference from all that stuff. We have to make little sections of it to
Understand it. And,
yeah, to comprehend, and we can get caught in those little boxes.
yeah.
But so that's why in the practice I'm doing, rather than taking one symptom, is it you're upset? Okay, it's tap down, you're upset. Okay, that was a wonderful session. We go into what you want, what's in the way, and your body mind will just say it. Because the unconscious mind once you tell it this is its goal, it'll give you its answers to how you get there. And then we tap it down, and then my clients go, that's really not a problem for me anymore. And they go off, and then a few years later, I might get an accolade from them because they run into me somewhere, or they might say, I can't handle this one. I think I need some help, and they'll get back and do a few sessions. And it's really a self-help group kind of thing, but it's very individualistic for you. And people come to me when they're just not getting anywhere. They can't make it, even if they're tapping.
Mm. Tapping
And
along with Google or YouTube, it's got to be a totally different experience than when you're sitting with a master who's customizing a protocol
yes.
for you. Yeah.
And I record in the end of every session, I record the part where we're tapping in what you want to do. And I have clients that I heard one the other day. He just had one session on his particular issue. Whenever it comes up, he just hits the record button, the play button on his phone or computer, and just does, okay, it's better again. If he wanted a more permanent solution, he could come in for some more sessions, but it works from the beginning. I've had clients terribly depressed, and a couple of years later, oh, I'm depressed again, you got to see me. And up they come on the screen, because I do this all over the world, and says, I'm feeling a lot better. Because this guy had cataloged all of the session recordings, that tapping in stuff. So I tap through all of those, and I feel a lot better.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, Bill, if people want to experience a session with you and they want to get to know you, I mean, you and I, we have to talk. I'll see you tonight. We definitely have to talk, because I definitely, I'm all about maximizing, optimizing performance for sure. But how do people get in touch with you if they want to try out a session?
It's the Pro EFT Center, and it's an LLC in Boise. And what I can do in the chat, let me go there.
Yeah, we can put your website. We'll put your website in the show notes as well. And I know you're on Facebook. People can find you on Facebook.
Caution, the Facebook, there is a Facebook fan page, but thousands of people connected to my normal page, and my nurse advocacy things that I do, they're on the Facebook page, and I keep them separate. Okay. And I keep them separate, and I'm going to send you here. Let me copy. I'll send it in there, and this is a good thing to tell people. And by the way, this works all over the world on video chat, and I also have an office because a lot of people like that. And so, I mean, they like it better. I have some locals that are going, oh, I don't want to go through the traffic. And I have other people, I want you in person. And
Well, if
so
you're in
that,
Boise, Meridian, if you're in the Treasure Valley, you can look him up. He's got his
yeah,
address. That's great. He's even giving you directions.
yeah. It's a little confusing. It's an older building, but yeah, and it's you know where the parks are and Ann Morrison
Oh,
and
yeah.
yeah, right there on the corner and
Oh, beautiful.
Morrison and oh, what is the other one? Albertsons Park. So they're
Yeah.
you know they're across the street. Well, right at the bridge, there's the building.
Nice. So after your EFT session, you can go fishing.
Yeah, whatever you would like to do. Yes, that's not a bad thing.
Well, Bill, I can't thank you enough for your time and just sharing a little
Thank
bit
you.
about the benefits of EFT. My thought is you can take a pill and you stay in therapy, or you can learn some techniques and really heal. I really believe we were created to heal, and we were
Mhm.
created to continually grow and develop and optimize who we are and how we feel and be able to experience joy in our lives. So thank you for
Yeah,
sharing such a phenomenally powerful tool that we all have at our fingertips.
yeah. Your healing and the relief of your suffering is at the tips of your fingers. And if just simple stuff, just tap and do it. And if it's not working, come in and see me, and you'll get way better at it. My clients tend to be really good at this for themselves. And then it's time to market some more for Bill. So,
There you go. All right. Well, Bill, thank you so much. I will see
oh,
you
you're so
tonight.
welcome. We'll see you in a little while. I'm looking forward to it.
Okay.
Bye bye.